Welcome back to Outdoor Exploration. I'm Emily, and today we are going exploring on Mount Gardner. And I brought this map along to show you why I chose Mount Gardner today. So the reason we're here today is to look at one of our biggest green spaces on Bowen Island. And the reason I brought the map is to talk about the importance of these large green spaces and the kind of untrammeled space that we have. So wildlife, plants, diversity in general of the ecosystem needs a large space to thrive. You can't have a huge amount of diversity if there's only a small green space between different roads or you know, developed properties or whatever. So animals can't cross, they can't go the long distances that they need to go because they run into human intervention and they just can't live their lives the way they should be able to. An ecosystem needs everything to be thriving all over the place in diversity. So if we just leave little tiny parks here and there, you can't have a huge diversity because the things that need more range can't thrive there. So they might only visit rarely, if at all, if they could even cross. I mean, and you have problems like, you know, geese. Right now we have a lot of geese with their goslings trying to cross the road. Fawns, well, mothers with their fawns crossing the road. Earlier in the year, frogs crossing the road and getting squished. Rough-skinned newts and salamanders getting squished on the road. So, I mean, roads dividing everything up create a lot of hazards, and wildlife doesn't go there if they don't have to, which means that they can't have a large range, they can't diversify, they can't, or the ecosystem can't diversify. And we're part of the ecosystem, we need it. So, looking at this map, the reason we're here is because on Bowen Island, we have sort of the remains of 4 large green spaces. And you can see them on the map quite clearly. The white parts are private properties. I mean, some of them public use, like the community school, but they're still owned by humans basically and used as private properties. And this is Mount Gardner, where we're going today. It's Crown land. This is Mount Collins, and as you can see, Mount Collins is almost completely ringed by private property, so it's incredibly difficult to access. So very few people actually go there, which makes it quite a great place for wildlife to live. It's reasonably large still and has some diversity. It also backs up onto Crippen Park, which, although it's very, very filled with humans and human intervention, is more green than many of these properties, so it has that benefit. And then there's the Ecological Reserve, Apodaca Mountain. It goes down towards Cowan and Josephine Ridge. And it's quite protected because of being a reserve, as well as having very few access points, and you have to go with a ranger if you're going to access it. Down here in the southwest corner, we have Cape Roger Curtis, which used to be much more wild than it is now, and Radar Hill, Fairy Fen, all of this kind of area, and Fairweather. It is being encroached by development, so this whole corner here, Cape Roger Curtis, is now being developed. A lot of this is being developed also, as well as out here. And Radar Hill itself, although Fairy Fen is now a reserve, I did another video about that, so it's quite a nice space, but it's a very small area left. And this actually has been quite damaged by off-road vehicles, so it's taken a lot of the diversity away and a lot of the opportunity for different plants and animals to live there. So it's not a terrible place, but it's being encroached very quickly and there's not much left. What there is left is Mount Gardner. As you can see, there are trails. There is some issue with some of the trails being, you know, overly used or just having too much going on in the area, and obviously some things can't thrive here, but it's by far the biggest chunk of natural area on Bowen, and so it's a great place to explore. So, you know, there are all kinds of things we might see here, a lot of things that live here that we probably won't see that are wonderful, like grouse and flying squirrels, but we'll just see what we find. At the very least, lots of interesting plants, because unlike animals, they can't run and hide. So let's go see what we find today. So we are at the Laura Road entrance, in case you're wondering, which kind of provides a switchbacky route up to the summit. And I don't think we're going to make it to the summit because you don't want to watch a video that long, but we'll see where we get to and what we find. First thing we found is our family. Hi guys.
Oh,
it's
hi.
Kalea. And Kalea's coming with us too. All right, shall we go? Are you ready for a walk? Come on. Oh, the star flowers are out. Good girl. It's a currant, a wild currant, with a few spit bugs living in it. And oh, it has a few berries set on the bottom there. How nice. One of our local wild currants. And some wild spit bugs. You want to see a spit bug up close? They're everywhere right now. Ooh, it's a red one. A spit bug in his spit. Oh, he's a very interesting looking one. Huh. Cool. Here we have a few hemlock tips. Those can be used for tea. That's nice. But down here, this is why I really stopped here, there's some foam flower, which is up all over the place right now, and it's so pretty. That's all, just stopping to admire the flowers. Hey, look what Annie found here. One of our most strange and interesting but harmless creatures, a millipede, making his way, or trying to make his way across the path. He, actually I can smell him from here. He excretes, it's either cyanide or hydrocyanic acid, I'm not sure in what form it is, in order to let people know, or predators know, that he's harmless. Sorry, that he's harmful, but in fact, if you hold him on your hand, he doesn't hurt you at all. He is completely harmless, other than the terrible smell of him, and I suppose if you were to eat him, that would be rather unhealthy. So don't. Let him be his lovely little self. And isn't he beautiful? Look what I found. One of our local orchids, coral root. They're kind of getting past, starting to wither away, but aren't they beautiful? Well, this one has been knocked off. Ah, I love coral root. It's like a treasure in the forest. Oh, the wild roses. Look at this. How beautiful. So, at this random spot along the trail, there seem to be a whole bunch of grand fir, well, young grand firs. I don't think you can call them a sapling anymore. And also, as everywhere, some salal blossoms here. But grand fir is really recognizable among conifers because they have these very, very flat, shiny looking boughs. And they have very similar needles to a hemlock, actually, of all different sizes, but they're very flat and shiny because of that. But this one has all its tips, so some of it could be harvested for tea, though hopefully not too much if you're out harvesting. Oh, there's a young maple here too. So much everywhere. More grand firs everywhere. That's interesting, huh?
These little birds or whatever.
I really don't know. It's so dark. Interesting. Has jagged little leaves. We could look it up at home if you want. Look what's over by your elbow. Snake root. Orchids. Ow. So beautiful.
They're more there.
I'm just listening. It's getting to be late afternoon, almost dinner time, and it's pretty quiet. You only hear the odd single bird, and there's not even much wind. And this is the exact time of day that I have heard grouse when I've heard them, which is only a couple times in my life, and I've never seen them on Bowen Island, but I know there are some, because you do hear them. They sound kind of like ghosts in the woods. You hear them. They have like an ultra low call. I couldn't possibly try to replicate it. But it would be awesome if we heard some. And I mean, it's unlikely to hear them here because usually they're under kind of low growth, like where the branches of the trees are lower, but so our microphone seems to have fallen off the camera and it's going to require a little bit of repair. So that's the end of today's video. I leave you with a whole bunch of nice fir trees, a nice rock with some licorice fern growing on it, whoops, and yet another currant shrub here. Oh, I don't see, oh yeah, has some berries on it too, nowhere near ripe, but yeah, what a lot of lovely and beautiful things we found on the side of Mount Gardner today. Obviously not even 1% of what's up here, but I encourage you to go exploring, enjoy what we have, enjoy the treasures in your own area, whatever they are if they're not Mount Gardner, and yeah, happy exploring. What are you doing?